Okay, welcome back. We are going to start with item 4-2, which is a presentation from Planning and Development Services Department, and we have Kelly Sifford here.
We'll move along quickly. The Planning and Development Services Division has multiple divisions and very different functions. The two mandated services we have are construction standards and the Soil and Water Conservation District. The discretionary services are community development, planning and zoning, the sustainable local economy, and local food systems. Here tonight I have construction standards, Scott DeVoe. He is our lead inspector. I have from the Soil and Water District, Dennis Testerman. Myself doing the community development function. Susie Morris is the planning and zoning manager. Sustainable local economy is Shannon Johnson, and the local food systems is Aaron Newton. For the community development function, we oversee the weatherization and assistance program, which you have had a great deal of information about already, so I won't go into great detail on that. The heating and air repair and replacement program, which is obviously heating and repair replacement. We have a full housing rehab program under the CDBG program, which serves the small towns and Cabarrus County's unincorporated areas. We have the housing and home improvement program, which the main qualification is that the client is 60 years old. We typically use that to build wheelchair ramps, do grab bars, door widenings, things of that nature. The home program is also a full rehab program. It is available only in the unincorporated areas of the county, and again is a full rehab program. Once you touch the house, you bring everything to code under that. Under all these programs, we combine them and coordinate them to make all the repairs on a home that we can possibly do that need to be done while we're there. And we also have the responsibility of educating the community about fair housing practices as part of those grant requirements. For construction standards, most of that is straightforward. You all know about building permits and the trade permits for plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. They also conduct commercial plan reviews. One aspect that most people do not realize is that they do conduct minimum housing inspections for the county jurisdiction, and they conduct annual electrical inspections for the Cabarrus County schools. For local food systems, Aaron serves kind of two functions. He is overseeing the operations at the Elma Lomax Farm, also serving the Food Policy Council, which is the side that we're more involved with. Obviously, they are educating citizens and school-age children about local food systems, enhancing opportunities for access to local foods, and which you heard about already. They're encouraging citizen engagement in the local food systems. He's going to talk a little bit more about how they're expanding the Elma C. Lomax Farm, and how they're supporting the farmers market and other mentoring programs that they're involved with. They're also, one of the big functions is to promote the local food awareness, and they're doing that through the fair, through conferences, through our employee picnic, through the 10% requirement for local foods for all county functions. You're very familiar, obviously, with the planning and rezoning functions that often come up to you at some point. The planners are responsible for rezoning, conditional use, variance, vesting, appeal applications, conducting subdivision review. We provide a lot of GIS support for other departments, special project support such as what we did for the Sheriff's Office, long-range planning, which includes things like the Central Area Plan, the Harrisburg Plan, the larger plans where we poll the community and find out what it is they want their community to look like long-term. We provide long-range support for other departments. Some examples of that would be the Livable Community Blueprint and emergency operations. We assist them with such as a debris removal plan that we've been recently working on and didn't quite get adopted in time for the tornado. They provide staff support, obviously, to planning and zoning and the Board of Adjustment, and you as well. And they are the administrators of the Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance. The Soil and Water Conservation District provides staff support for the Soil and Water Conservation District Board, which is elected and appointed officials. They provide staff support to the Watershed Improvement Commission as well, and you. They are holding and maintaining easements, conservation easements. An example of that is the one that they hold behind the jail currently as part of the agreement that we had with Concord for approval. And they are the location now in the county for holding those easements. They also are responsible for the creation of conservation plans and strategic prioritizing. And a good example of that would be the Porter's Farm project that just came before you recently. We're also overseeing stream and wetland restoration projects. We have a project currently that we are designing and hope to have bid very quickly and underway at the Cox Mill School to restore some stormwater issues there, and it'll have a small kind of wetland feature that will help with some of those issues that have been going on at that school. We seek grant funds for the natural resource conservation efforts and education in Cabarrus County. There's conservation planning, which includes inventories such as the soil survey and the natural heritage inventory, which are used in referencing when we are looking at subdivision review and items such as that. Obviously, they're providing a large amount of technical assistance to citizens and farmers, which is a huge portion of their time. They're engaging school students in natural resource conservation through the fair, through poster contests, the Envirothon. They have a lot of activities with the youth. And they're educating the public about natural resource conservation, Big Sweep, the wetlands rookery, and careers in conservation, which is something that the conservation at the state level really encourages development of the future. The sustainable local economy is about educating citizens about how a local economy functions and why it is important. We're providing opportunities for engagement with businesses through business education, business directory, which is the Think Cabarrus First campaign, and the listening tour, which we went around and had sessions throughout the county to collect comments from business owners on regulations that they felt were a problem for them or did not help their business, or ways that we could help their business, and we are compiling those to provide to you very soon. And again, we're providing support in education through the Think Cabarrus First campaign. And we're encouraging citizen participation in the local economy through this program. And the Schumann report was part of that process. We are analyzing it now for the economy leakages and looking at ways to address the gaps that he pointed out in his report. The zoning division is one that issues the zoning permits. They investigate zoning violations. They actually process septic permit applications and permits, which I don't think everybody's probably aware of. They conduct commercial site plan reviews, and they also enforce the floodplain damage ordinance and they oversee the North Carolina flood insurance program for the unincorporated areas of Cabarrus County. You have an organizational chart here, which is a little hard to read. We tried to squeeze it down, but it's kind of an awkward shape. But overall, the staffing is Construction Standards has 12 deputy, a chief deputy, 8 inspectors, and 2 permit clerks. Planning has 5 staff, a director, planning and zoning manager, 2 planners, and 1 administrative assistant. Community development is 1 administrative assistant and 2 weatherization auditors. The Soil and Water Conservation District has 3 staff. That would be 2 conservation specialists and 1 administrative secretary. Sustainable Local Economy has 1 person. Local Foods has 1 person, and zoning has 3, 2 enforcement officers, and 1 permit clerk.
Can I stop you on that one?
Okay.
If you'll go back 1 page. Sorry. Could you, I know that both the local food council, food council and the local economy have boards. So
correct.
Can you add those somewhere on there that
you're right?
They
I do
have
need
boards
to,
underneath them.
I do need to add that. You're correct.
Thank you.
We pulled that out of the pay system, so it got a little complicated, but we will add that to that. For the proposed budget, we wanted to show you the estimated revenues for FY13. Construction standards, as you can see, is $1.3 million. Community development's $198,000. Soil and water is $30,000. Zoning's $15,000. Sustainable local economy is $5,000. Planning is $4,800. There is no revenue currently associated with the food systems. Total revenues are projected to be $1.6 million. The overall expenditures, construction standards is just over $1 million. Planning is $481,000. Community development's $328,000. The soil and water district's $229,000. Zoning is $215,000. Local foods is $7,500, and the sustainable local economy is $10,760, with a grand total of $2.2 million for expenditures projected. So how does the development process work is one of the questions, and how do we facilitate that activity? And the next slide is, again, difficult to read, but we wanted to kind of give you an overview so you can understand how we got really involved with other departments and how the process really works. When a developer wants to come in and talk about an application, a subdivision, they come in and they meet with a planner, which is called a pre-application meeting. That developer, once he decides he's proceeding, submits a reservation of capacity to planning. Once that is obtained, the developer submits a preliminary plat for review, which involves planning, soil and water conservation, health alliance, DOT, emergency management. We send out these plats for everybody to review, collect those comments, and send those back to the developer so that they can create a plat that hopefully meets all of our standards, and we are the ones who take that to the Planning and Zoning Commission for approval. Then they enter into the adequate public facilities process, which again the Planning Department is handling. The construction of the subdivision and the infrastructure begin, and that's usually mostly the developer involvement with them and DOT. The complete construction, we have inspections, and planning is in the process of finalizing that. We approve the plat to be signed and recorded at the Register of Deeds. Then it is sent to GIS, and we work with the coordinator to get those addresses issued and into the system so that building permits may be issued. The developer can apply for zoning, septic, and building permits at that point. So then at that point the zoning and construction standards come into play. The construction standards inspects the new structure during the construction process, and they complete the final inspections, approve for power to be turned on, and the structure can then be occupied. With the commercial process, it is a little shorter, basically the same involvement, less the adequate facilities. The developer typically has a pre-construction meeting or pre-application meeting with the zoning and construction standards, maybe planning if there's some rezoning or something that needs to happen prior to that. They submit the plans based on our conversations with them, and we hope. At that point, their plans are reviewed by construction standards, zoning, soil and water, fire, marshal, EMS, municipal utilities, and possibly others depending on the conditions. The zoning staff compiles all the comments, redlines it, and sends it back to the developer for their corrections. They are then, once they have the approved plan, able to go to get zoning and building permits, again bringing in zoning and construction standards. The developer can begin construction, and construction standards inspects the new structure, and at the finalizing, the zoning and construction standards are involved in that from a landscaping standpoint, parking spaces and those kind of things, and the final inspections for the building itself. The certificate of occupancy is issued, and the utilities can be turned on, and the building can then be occupied. So that kind of gives you an overview of how we get involved with many different departments at many different times during the process, and try to facilitate that process to move the developer or subdivider or whoever it will be along. Obviously, our mission statement is by division, and we couldn't include all of it here, but the highlights obviously are that we're here to enhance the quality of life and control external effects, and provide for the proper provision of public services by monitoring and managing the use of land. We want to contribute to the health and safety and welfare of the residents by conducting inspections on new and existing structures, verifying compliance with North Carolina building codes. We want to encourage informed and responsible stewardship of the land and all the natural resources through that process, and build the local food network and local economy, and assist the elderly and disabled with their housing needs. So I rushed through that very quickly. Are there questions?
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I think over the last 12 years, probably this department's probably been the most visible of every department in the county.
And you see most of my staff
Yep.
pretty regularly, so
Exactly.
you all know them pretty well. So, and they're all here to answer any questions you may have of them.
Good.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
I do.
Thanks.
I'm
Oh, I'm
sorry. I
sorry.
do have a question. That's good.
Okay.
I was going to ask about the community development programs, and the weatherization program. I know we've been through that.
Yes, we have.
Now, part of that's federal money. Is that correct? Can you
Yes.
explain that again? I'm sorry.
Yes. No, not a problem. We are actually just wrapping up the stimulus portion.
Okay.
That ended March 31st effectively. So we're wrapping up the last details of that. We get funded regularly through, there's two funding streams that go into it. One is the Department of Energy, and one is the Low-Income Heating and Assistance Program.
Okay.
It's the same one that provides heating assistance.
Right.
They do it through two different channels. They do it through providing money for bills through
Right.
to the heat companies or air. In our case, we get it to work on the heat and air systems to keep them in proper working order. But some of that money also goes toward weatherization to save bills. This particular coming year, DOE chose not to fund North Carolina because the stimulus money was behind. So we are only getting a small amount of DOE money. Most of our money this year is coming from the Low-Income Heating Assistance Program. And so we do have final numbers on that, and I think about 150 some of what you saw was weatherization and heating and air repair and replacement, because those come together as a package. The remaining balance would be the housing and home improvement program with ramps and grab bars and things.
Okay. So is there any county money put into that program? Just staff time?
Basically staff time. We have about projected, and we've done this the past few years, just had like $4,000 or $5,000 for any item that, for whatever reason, got rejected by the state, or just an emergency fund, which we've only hit it when we had to, when something unexpected came up that didn't come under the grant, and you were already you had your foot in it. So that's the only county cash in it, and everything else is the staff time, which has reduced because of the restructuring that we did. My salary is no longer in this. Mine's moved to planning, so we only have 3 people in that division now.
Okay. Is that a program where we could not accept those dollars for that program, or is that?
You could choose not to do that. They would give that money to somebody else.
Right.
I will tell you that. When in the weatherization network, when somebody gives up their money, somebody else in that area will come along and take it. So if we don't take it, there will be another agency out there that, whether it would be somebody from a different county serving this area or whatever, but they would come along and take those funds and handle it. So it's
So potentially another county could take the funds and service our area?
Well, typically, it's not done by government.
Okay.
There's 3 in the state that
I see.
do it. Otherwise, it's community development agent or
Right.
community
Okay.
action agencies. And so, for instance, Gaston's community action agency serves 4 counties.
Right. Okay.
So they could possibly pick up our county and serve it. So the money would go somewhere, and it would serve Cabarrus County residents, but it may not be through us.
Okay. And now, what is the overseeing heating appliance repair and replacement program? Is that similar, just with?
There's not much management with it, quite frankly. A client calls in, says their heat and air is not working. We get their application together. We send out a heat and air company to check it. If If it's under $500, we tell them, go ahead and repair it. If it's over $500, they have to call us. If it needs to be replaced, then we bid it.
Okay. And so no county dollars are put in that, just the
No.
staff time as well? Okay.
Yeah, no county dollars in that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, the next section we have are discussion items for action at our next meeting. The first one up is EDC with John Cox and Ryan McDaniels are here.
Thank you and good evening. We just need a minute of your time. We would like to ask that you would consider holding a public hearing at your April 16th meeting for the consideration of an industrial grant for a local industry that wishes to expand. The industry is Corning. The amount of investment would be $100 million, and it would create several dozen local jobs. Those jobs would pay an hourly rate of between $16 and $20 an hour. That is it.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
And this is pretty much our standard incentive grant program. I mean, this is vanilla, right?
This says 50 million, 50 or 100.
Oh, what did I say?
100, that's all I was just pointing
I'm
out.
sorry. Thank you.
You got an announcement?
$50 million. Thank you, sir.
I'd make a motion to place it on the agenda for April the 16th and call for a public hearing.
Okay, let's hang on the motion. Let's just do a consensus right now so they know, and then we'll do one motion. That's okay, to approve the whole agenda. So
I'm good.
everybody
Yeah.
okay with
Yep.
Yes.
without any questions? Okay. We'll come back to that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me ask a favor, if you guys don't mind. We have 3 staff members that need to get on the road to Asheville. So can we skip the 5-5 and have Ms. Sifford come back up? She said that one's not going to take but just a
Yeah.
couple minutes. Pam and Mike aren't going to be able to leave early no matter what they think, so.
Pam's leaving before Mike.
Okay. That may be true.
This item before you, when this regulation was adopted back about 1997, Jonathan Marshall was appointed. We've had no reason to review it since then, but when we were looking at changing it to my position, the law has changed, and they prefer that it be a mapper, and it describes a mapper in detail in the regulation. So we are recommending that that position be moved and that Greg Belk be identified as the new review officer for Cabarrus County. It does need to be one person's name, although he can designate multiple signers. He is a certified property mapper and meets the qualifications that the state has put out in the regulation.
Any questions? Everybody good with that? Okay. Okay, and then let's bring up Aaron and David Goforth to do 5-7 next.
Good evening, thank you all. Wanted to talk briefly about the opportunity to expand the scope at LMC Lomax Farm to include a community garden, and I'm going to let David Goforth talk about that proposal.
When we looked at doing some things out at the LMC Lomax Farm to switch it to generate some revenue, the idea of a community garden come up, and that was one of the reasons we went to it, was to use about 5% of our land space and hopefully generate around 12% of our income for operating expenses out there. But we also quickly identified that a community garden would be a very good for the human resource, the human capital we could build with it, the community linkages, the additional volunteers we could get out there that we could assign to do different things. And so we looked at the human capital being very good, additional source of revenue being very good. And then as we started this, we developed a advisory committee with the Master Gardener volunteers and also with some people from the community and eventually people that were interested in community gardening. As we started bringing these people on board, it also became obvious that it could serve an educational component. We could educate both gardeners about gardening, and there's also individuals that we could educate about a community garden who could then take the community garden concept somewhere else and work with the community garden. So for those reasons, and then also the advisory committee wanted to have a charitable contribution component to it, And for those 4 reasons, we do ask that the county commissioners approve a community garden, expanding the LMC Lomax Farm to include a community garden proposal out there. And what we're planning to do is start with about 24 spots. And the way we come up with the fee that we're asking you to approve, we looked at it from 2 points of view, from what we need from revenue stream and also what other community gardens were charging around, and sort of come to the middle ground of charging around $32 for each plot. And that would have it's a little bit higher than most community gardens, but it would also have an educational component that we intend to have out there. And we feel that it would be worth that. We're going to start with 24 plots initially to try to work some of the kinks that we don't necessarily anticipate, but that can happen, and things that we don't recognize, things that we don't see right now. So we have got a list of about 24 people that would be interested if y'all approve a community garden out there.
Any questions about the community garden concept? Is everybody okay with the fee structure? And
I wanted to mention this is part of the overall changes to the fee structure at the farm. So there will be a $32 charge for community garden space, but also we're raising the fee of the participation at the farmer level to $240. We have 10 participating farmers returning to the project in 2012, an additional 5 that have signed up for a total of 15. We're also instituting a cooler rental fee, which will cover any farmers who might temporarily use the cooler that's on site, that coordinate with the participating farmers themselves at the incubator farm. We thought that was resources they should pay for. And also a tractor fee of $4 per hour, so we can better track that equipment's use and pay for it as our most expensive piece of equipment on the farm.
Yeah.
So this would be not only expanding the scope of the project, but also adopting this new fee schedule.
And the reason for a lot of this is to provide that additional service out there, because there has been such a lot of interest. But also the goal that Aaron and the others have set is to try to create revenue sources to fund the operations of the farm. It won't get to the salary in the next few years, but at least we can get to fund those operational expenses outside of the salary. And they're doing a great job. Both Aaron and David and Debbie and the whole staff out there is doing a great job moving in that direction. So.
And I was going to recognize Debbie Boss is here with Cooperative Extension also, who's quite instrumental. And your office is located out there?
Yes, I do have an office in the classroom. We have office space for all of us out there.
So we do have oversight while, you know.
I visit the farm almost every day of the year, sometimes twice a day. If any of you are interested in a success story related to the program, one of the participating farmers, Joe Rowlands, featured conveniently on the front page of the Observer today. So this is a young man who has taken advantage of the opportunity and who will transition off the farm within the next couple years. He's looking already at a piece of property, 18 acres, off Mount Olive Road. So this is someone who's going to be farming, making a living at farming in our community very quickly.
Yeah, one thing, Madam Chair, Aaron is overseeing the operational aspects of the farm and organizing the workforce and the farmers and assigning their duties. Debbie and David and Carl Pless are still in the Cooperative Extension, is still handling the teaching part of the aspects out there, but it's worked at the relationship has really worked out well. So we're moving forward, and I think the farm's better for it and looking for bigger and better things.
All right, thank you. I know you guys need to get on the road to Asheville, so. Oh, there is the application. What's the timeline on the applications? Sorry.
3 spaces available still?
Within the advisory committee, we've identified 24 people that want to apply at this point in time. If they all apply, we've got 23 identified. If all of them do come through with an application, we'd still have 1 space that we could open it up this year to get to our goal of 24. The eventual goal being 75, we would be able to accept a lot of other people, and we do expect a turnover. We're not sure exactly what kind of turnover to expect, but several of these people have indicated, once I learn it here, I'm going to take it to another location to continue.
So the applications are posted on our website. Fill them out, send them in.
The applications are going through Extension. What's the easiest way to apply?
What's the easiest way for somebody to apply?
They will be posted on our website.
They will be posted on the Cooperative Extension website.
Through the county.
Through the county.
The Cooperative Extension.
You're not at
has
a microphone, so I'm repeating.
Cooperative Extension has a page on the county website.
On the county website, go to the Cooperative Extension page. You should find the application and be able to submit it. Okay, great, thank you. Y'all drive carefully. Next up, 5-2, we'll go back in the regular order. QSCB's. Ms. Dubois, I don't know if you were.
The school board will be coming in to discuss this issue with you at the regular meeting, but what I wanted to go over with you is we gave this list of projects to our bond counsel to have him review those for the IRS conditions of whether or not these projects actually meet the QSCAB's definition. And he completed his review this morning. The one item that will need to be removed is the purchase of the land for the Northwest Area Elementary School. That is not eligible under QSCABs because there is no facility to be constructed on that site. So that would adjust the requested list to about $6,223,550. But this would be the list that will be presented to you at the regular work session, and we have communicated that information to Cabarrus County Schools. So that's the only change to the agenda item when you actually hear it at the April meeting.
Okay, and just for information purposes, we, because the schools were facing a deadline, we agreed to allow them to apply. We did not agree for any funding at this point in time. I know you guys know that, but it's nice to repeat it. At this point in time, we have received their list and they have made the application. Are we going to have something for action in 2 weeks? I mean, they're not going to hear back from DPI in that length of time, are they?
No, I think they said they had about a month times for review, but I think if the board wants to go ahead and discuss their intentions, should you decide not to fund this, it would be nice to go ahead and let DPI know so they can put the money back in the pot.
Yeah, they wanted to come in and go in detail of the projects that they've got and why they're prioritized the way they are. And like Pam said, if there's something that you as a board do not agree with, we can go ahead and eliminate that from the list.
So we all need to look closely at the list that they have and have any questions for, I presume, Mr. Whitkey and hopefully some school board members, and get some more information since we have not had an opportunity to truly discuss this issue.
How many of these projects are on their list for maintenance this year? This year as in the next coming budget year?
I'm not aware of that information. We haven't been provided that budget yet, but several of them were on their original QSCAB list.
How many of these were on the list last year to do maintenance this year to try and get them pushed out of the way?
I don't know, but I will go and verify and see what was on the budget list.
My question is, if these are priority projects, were they not put on last year's maintenance list that we gave them money to maintain?
Yeah, we'll pull that information and have that for you before that evening.
Thank you.
And if you have any other specific questions between now and then, it probably would be helpful to let Pam or Mike know, and then they can let the schools know so that they can come prepared with an answer. Okay, next up we have Kyle is coming back for an access agreement.
A retaining wall needs to be constructed on the lower side of the stormwater detention pond at the Justice Center property across the street. The retaining wall is required to stabilize the area and comply with both stormwater and sediment control regulations. An access agreement for construction and maintenance between Cabarrus County and the adjacent owners of the Washington Apartments, which is the Joseph Brothers, needs to be approved prior to the construction of the retaining wall. As part of the attachment is the agreement that our attorney drew up.
Funding for this?
There's still funding left in the existing contracts that are still open across the street.
Did we know during construction that it was going to need a retaining wall, and this is just towards the end, or?
This the retaining wall was not originally designed. The site was designed with the erosion control measures on it. The sedimentation ponds were put in place. There have been some erosion control problems up above the pond, which we've repaired. Now with the dam inspection on the pond, that city is requiring that some of the trees be removed. Some of the landscaping that was required now is being removed. Some of the other is along the bank is being removed, and therefore the bank will become less sustainable, and therefore we're concerned with the erosion problems with those apartments right there behind, right at the base of that hill. So we need to go in and put that wall up.
We brought this up with the city about a year ago. What Mr. Downs says is exactly correct. We were concerned about the vegetation they made us put on there, and we asked to remove it, and then had discussions with both their stormwater department and their actual, planning folks that probably didn't agree on everything, and then we came up with the best option to try to get a slope that would maintain and not erode out there. We'd end up in the actual parking lot of Washington Apartments, so we felt this was our best option to go with it. And like Mr. Downs said, we had to stabilize a part that's on the side of the back edge of the parking lot, and we needed to really stabilize that first before we could design the wall and what it needed to be.
I'll be honest with you, I'm a little surprised, having driven up into that parking lot, that wasn't something that we were told to begin with. There's obviously a huge difference in the elevation from where the parking lot is, and I mean, I know all the fencing that was put up during the construction, but that one, that's why I asked about that, because I thought that seemed odd. I thought we would have had to do more all along, because it's
Wasn't that related to
quite a mountain.
moving the parking places in order to make accommodation for the houses, or?
I'd have to go back and look at the original plans. I think the pond had to be relocated and moved a little closer to the property line since because of the walls and the houses and stuff.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the? Oh, okay. Thank you. The next item is, let's see, Human Services Center. And we do have Ben Rose here with
I'll do it.
DSS.
That's fine.
I don't know if you need to add anything or not, so.
This is actually the current lease agreement for the annex portion of Human Services, the 1325 South Cannon. That expires at the end of April. The social services staff currently housed in that area will be moving into the space currently occupied by the Health Alliance. Due to the timing of the Health Alliance move and the planned construction, there will need to be a monthly lease for the annex space. It is anticipated that this lease is a short-term need. Since that point, we've already given our 60 days notice to the owner of that property that we lease the space from, and told them that we'll be out by May 31st. Assuming all goes well with the impending Health Alliance move scheduled for April 9th, I will make sure that everybody gets moved up into an area that will not be demolished, and will house them there temporarily until we finish the actual construction of the portion that's being renovated, and then phase them in.
Any additional information? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Susie Morris here concerning a reservation of capacity for Brookdale Commons.
Good evening. This is a reservation of capacity request. The applicant is Lennar Carolinas, and it is for a subdivision in the town of Harrisburg called Brookdale Commons. They currently have their rezoning in place, and they would like to move forward with the project. It has about 230 lots currently proposed on 109 acres. When we did the calculations, there are approximately 73 elementary students, 32 middle school students, and 29 high school students that might be generated by this development. Capacity is not available at the middle school level or at the high school level. At the high school level, they currently have 6 seats, but once you add the projected number of students in, that takes it to a negative number. Since there is no additional planned capacity, over the next 5 years, those two numbers still remain negative numbers. The ordinance prescribes a schedule that you have listed as option 1. Since the schools are short, the applicant would need to provide a voluntary mitigation payment in order to move forward. Option 2 provides a schedule that the applicant is providing. I believe that you all received an email from Mr. Pace over the weekend, and he is also here to answer any questions that you may have. They are willing to pay the voluntary mitigation as prescribed by the ordinance prior to final plating, but they are asking for an adjusted schedule, sometimes up to 3 times as much as they would be permitted, but they feel that based on the market, it can absorb this number of units and they would like to ask for you all to consider that. I don't know if Mr. Pace wants to add anything, or if you all have any questions for him.
Commissioners, questions?
I just want to compliment on his patience today. I know this has been a long meeting, sitting there waiting for us to get to this item. Yeah, I did, but anyway, we did get that. I think you'd emailed that to us about the capacities. And so you see the market turning so that you'll be able to get these built and sold pretty much in that 4-year period versus this 6-year period?
The good thing is, thank you. The good thing is that Litchfield is the adjoining subdivision, which Lennar has been building in. And they have been doing very, very well in Litchfield. They've got less than 5 houses left to sell now. They have 2 products that they're building. They have, what I'll say, they found the sweet spot in the market as to in pricing. They're not a starter home market at all. They have houses in there that go up to 4,200 square feet. But they're pricing the houses correctly. If you've seen their advertising, everything is included. If you've seen the Lennar advertising, they've done a really, really good job on engineering their houses to get them in to where people can afford them. We think that we are probably in trouble now by not having the product on the ground. We know we are in trouble. Just a little history on this project. I bought this land and assembled it many years ago. She told me the other day, said, "I'm glad to see this project coming." I said, "It's been taking a long time to get this bride to the altar." I'm not going to let her run away this time either. Due to the market, to what the market is doing, and no money available for people like me as developers out there anymore, I have sold the site to Lennar, and I'm retained the development rights of it. So that's what I'm doing with it. I am very excited about what we're doing, and I think that Lennar can do what we intend to do. They're a spec builder. In the 2 products that they're planning on building, they have currently been hitting better than 6 a month. And because they're a spec builder, they also have specs on the ground for stuff they've already got sold. So when you look at the numbers that I projected, because I'm a little late with getting the rezoning done, the rezoning took a little while in Harrisburg, because I'm late on getting that done and just been able to get my plans submitted. I had to get the rezoning done before I could even submit my plans in Harrisburg. My first year is probably a little aggressive. You know, I might be a little aggressive on that number in that first year, but after I get started, I think I'm right on the numbers that'll work.
What would you say the average home price would be?
There's two products that they have out there, and so saying the average home price, I think you look at the average home price in both sections. You're probably looking at somewhere in the 235 in the lower portion, and that is all controlled by the lot size. It's really what it is. It's controlled by the lot size. It's a 65-foot lot. You move up to the next size lot, which is comparable to most of the lots in Litchfield. It's a little bit smaller than the Litchfield lot. It's a 70-foot lot. That price point will probably be around the $325 average price point.
Are these brick homes or combination?
They're combination. There are all brick homes in there. Everything is a function of driving the price today. You will see, if you drive in a neighborhood, you will see brick, rock, siding combinations, and you'll see all brick houses. But because of what we're seeing today in financing, even for the home buyer, trying to get a home buyer to qualify, you know, you put all brick on a house, it's going to add about $20,000 to it. So you're looking at, home buyers are looking at that too, and you try to do your elevations such that with the brick, rock, siding combination, you've got what you really want.
Thank you.
And staff would request that this be that you all consider it, and then it could be placed on your consent agenda.
Is your mic on? I'm sorry. Just make sure they were picking you up. That's fine.
I think it's on.
Okay, but now, do we need to make a determination of option 1 versus option 2?
Not until
Or, well, if it's on consent, we do.
If you all, I mean, if you don't want to consider it today and put it on the consent agenda, that's fine, but you could consider it because the schedule is prescribed already.
Right. Option 1 is the
Option
prescribed
1
schedule.
is what the ordinance states, and then option 2 would be what the applicant is asking for. Payment would be the same prior to final plating.
I have a question that you may not be able to answer, and that's okay. But do you have any idea if the, let's see, for the middle school and the high school, if the districts adjacent to those specific districts, if there's capacity so that if the school board were to look at their boundaries, that it wouldn't be a capacity issue? And you, like I said, you might not be able to answer that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We did have one development in the town of Harrisburg that did come off of the numbers that we look at. The proposed townhome development in the town center is not going to proceed. That is where the Y actually bought property to build the new Y in Harrisburg. So some of the developments that are feeding into those schools, currently we are not seeing any permitting activity there, and there may be a few more. If you all remember the legislation, the second legislation, a lot of those dates are now 2012. If they have not final platted, we will probably start to see some more developments fall off of our inventory.
I would be fine with option 2.
Yeah.
I would be fine with option 2 on the consent agenda myself.
I'm the same way, and I mean, I know we got the negative numbers there, but again, we don't know what, I mean, but that's based on
Projections.
100% build out of everything that's been approved, and I don't see it ever happening, so.
Commissioner Burridge, do you have a preference?
I like option 1 better.
Commissioner Eastman?
I mean, you talking about, where are you gonna
Oh,
put
I'm
these
sorry.
children?
Well, that's what I was just mentioning, is that is based, that numbers are based on if every house is built that's been approved,
You
which
talking
has not
about-
happened. I mean,
Well, you're talking about 48 houses in 212 versus 13. You know, you don't have school capacity for them. Who's gonna build a school?
Again, those capacity numbers are based on approved subdivisions, they're not based on built subdivisions. So a lot of those that are on the list of being approved, as Susie just said, have not been built on, and there's been no activity in them for several months, if not more than a year or so.
Correct.
Commissioner Eastman? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
I'm fine with option 2.
Okay. I'm fine with option 2, because I think some are going to come off, and I'm thrilled to hear that somebody is building something that's selling, because we do like to see new
We are
construction,
thrilled,
and we
too.
like to see homes being sold in the area. Commissioner Burridge, would you prefer that it be on action item instead of consent?
Yeah, I'd rather be on action items, so it's consent.
Okay. Okay, thank you both. Okay, the next thing that we have is the approval of the regular meeting agenda. If you will look at that, you have a handout at your seats. We have a number of recognitions and presentations. It shouldn't be a problem. Under consent, if you'll look at that, Commissioner Burridge would like to move number 6 that we just talked about, the reservation of capacity, down to new business, and we will make that item number 3 in new business. Are there any other items on consent that anybody would like moved? If not, that would be our consent agenda. Then you have the new business. We have 3 items there. And then, of course, the normal appointments and reports. If there are no other changes, at this time I would accept a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda with that one change.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we do have a need for a closed session tonight. Very short. and it concerns a personnel matter. The only people, you'd be the only one and the attorney, of course, to come into the closed session, so. Oh, I do want to mention one other thing, I'm sorry. I had an email today, and I want to make sure I kind of get this out. As you guys know, I'm on the MPO board, Cabarrus Rowan Metropolitan Planning Organization, and there will be there's an announcement that, let's see, the opening of a public comment period for the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, CTP Index and Goals and Objectives for the 2040 Long Range Transportation Plan. The public comment period will be open through Wednesday, May the 9th. The CTP is a vision for highway improvements in the two-county area, which is Rowan and Cabarrus counties, and replaces existing thoroughfare plans and appendices. The Long Range Transportation Plan is a multimodal plan developed in accordance with the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 23, Volume 1. Cabarrus Rowan MPO Transportation Planning Agency for both Cabarrus and Rowan counties will also hold 2 citizen information workshops to receive comments from the public on the CTP Index and the 2040 LRTP Goals and Objectives. Those workshops will be held on April the 17th, 2012 in the Rowan County Commissioners Meeting Room at 130 West Ennis Street in Salisbury, and on April the 18th, 2012 in the Rotunda here of the Cabarrus County Governmental Center, located at 65 Church Street in Concord. The public is invited to drop in any time during the workshop between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. each evening. Displays and staff will be available. And if there's nothing else, yeah, I'm sorry, there is.
I was pointed out to me today that April 19th is the district meeting at the Embassy Suites for the NCACC, and I was asked today if any of our commissioners were coming to that. And I said, I know Commissioner Pruitt. Yeah, okay. Y'all going? Okay.
If you,
I don't think it just had made it to there, so I'm going to the Asheville. I'm going to Asheville. I'll be in Asheville next week, so I'm going to go to the Asheville
so if
meeting.
you have not RSVP'd, either let
You
Kay
think I
know
would
and
not
she can
go.
make sure that they know, because we are hosting that at the Embassy Suites. Okay, there's no other information at this time. I accept a motion to go into closed session. Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Thank you.